Leafs fans, take a deep breath. What we're about to talk about might seem far away, but believe me, the future has already begun. Connor McDavid, the best hockey player in the world today, and perhaps the most impactful of the modern NHL era, has just signed a 2-year extension with the Edmonton Oilers worth $12.5 million per season. And it's precisely that decision, that only 2 years detail, that could completely change the destiny of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Not today, not tomorrow, but in 2028. So before we dive into this analysis, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Because what's happening right now could define the Leafs' future for years to come. Every piece of news, every behind-the-scenes move, every rumor is part of a much bigger story. And here, we follow it all in real time, with the passion of true hockey fans. Because believe it, the entire league is reacting. Toronto, New York, Dallas, Los Angeles, everyone had a plan, a dream, and what if? And now, with this short contract, hope is reborn. But so is the pressure. We talk a lot about the present, about playoffs, wins, and Brad Treliving's adjustments. But the game off the ice, the one that decides the next 5 years, has already begun. Connor McDavid didn't want security. He wanted freedom. And when a player of his caliber chooses a 2-year deal, it's no accident. It's strategy. He's telling the world, I want to see what the future brings. I want to see who's really evolving. And that's where Toronto enters the story. Think about it. The Leafs have one of the most powerful offenses in the league. Austin Matthews, William Nylander, Mitch Marner, Morgan Reilly, names any franchise would kill to have. But when we look ahead, when the clock hits 2028, the picture changes. Matthews will be 31, Nylander 32, Reilly 34. And the rest of the blue line, the defensive backbone, will likely be past 35. And then comes a question nobody wants to ask, but everyone must face, is that the kind of aging roster playing at a high line historic represents a short-term. The answer, my friends, is probably not. McDavid won't join a team in decline. He'll choose a project at its peak, a team that breeds youth, that's hungry, that has cap space, and that proves with results it's close to the Stanley Cup. And right now, Toronto is halfway there. Strong enough to compete, but tied down by heavy contracts and a core that's aging fast. Brad Treliving, the general manager, knows this. He knows that window of opportunity exists, and that it won't stay open forever. That's why the Leaf rebuild can't be a demolition. It has to be a smart transition, step by step. Treliving needs to rejuvenate the roster, open cap space, and keep the team competitive enough to stay attractive. It's an almost impossible challenge. But what's at stake is massive. If McDavid decides to test free agency in 2028, his next deal will be the biggest in NHL history. The current projection is that he'll ask for around 20% of the total cap, which, with the expected increase, could mean $25 million per season. And if Toronto wants a seat at that table, they need to start saving every cap dollar now. But money, in the end, is only part of the equation, because McDavid, above all else, wants to win. He's competitive to the core. And even with absurd numbers, 132 points last season, over 1,000 career points before turning 30, what he wants most is a Stanley Cup. If Edmonton can't deliver that, his patience will run out, and that's when Toronto must be ready. Think of the impact. The kid from Ontario, the Canadian hockey prodigy, coming home to wear blue and white. McDavid and Matthews side by side, two of the most gifted offensive talents of their generation, under the lights of Scotiabank Arena. It's a dream, I know, but dreams like that move sports. And the truth is, as romantic as it sounds, it'll only happen if Toronto is the right place at the right time. Now, what does that mean in practice? It means the focus needs to shift. Players like Matthew Knies, Easton Cowan, and Fraser Minton must be absolute priorities. These are the names representing the future McDavid will want to see when evaluating the market. Toronto needs to make sure that by 2028, these kids aren't just prospects, but key players, that they're leading lines, scoring clutch goals, and proving the team doesn't rely solely on veterans. And the funny thing is, even if everything goes wrong, even if McDavid never comes, the plan still holds. Because every championship team at some point had to reinvent itself before it was too late. The Leafs have talent. They have market. They have fans. What they need is time and direction. And luckily, the clock has started ticking at just the right moment. Look, I know it's hard to talk about 2028 when we're still struggling to get past the second round of the playoffs. But that's modern hockey. Planning 3 seasons ahead is what separates the dreamers from the winners. And McDavid is the kind of player who changes the logic of the entire league. The mere possibility of him hitting free agency in a few years is already shaking up the NHL's backstage. Agents are rethinking contracts. GMs are reconsidering long extensions. And fans, especially in Toronto, are starting to imagine what it would be like to see number 97 gliding across the ice in blue and white. But here's the most important part. Even if that dream never comes true, the work that needs to be done doesn't change. Toronto must learn from recent seasons. They've come close, but always stop short of the final destination. The defense needs to be rebuilt, the goaltending needs consistency, and the offense must stay dynamic. Those are the foundations any player, including McDavid, will look at when evaluating this team. And if he sees a solid, competitive, younger roster with financial flexibility, then yes, the dream stops being fantasy. The truth is, McDavid doesn't want to be the savior of a broken project. He wants to be the final piece of a team ready to win. And Toronto has a rare opportunity to show that it's preparing now to be that team in the future. Imagine a roster with Knies in his prime, Cal matured, Minton established, and Matthews still playing at a high level. Add McDavid to that mix, and the result will be downright terrifying for any opponent. But none of that happens by chance. From now on, every decision counts. Every contract, every trade, every prospect developed. It's a chessboard in motion, and the king in this case is named Connor McDavid. McDavid has always been a different kind of player. He thinks beyond the ice. He understands the impact of every signature, every clause, every choice. With his short contract, he sent a clear message. Edmonton's clock is ticking, and whoever wants me has 3 years to prove they deserve it. And if Toronto wants to be part of that conversation, it needs to act now. So, Leafs fans, think about this. The decisions this team makes in the coming months, the signings, the cuts, the cap space, aren't just about next season. They're about the franchise's destiny. McDavid may never wear blue and white, but if Toronto is ready, competitive, and smart, maybe, just maybe, the impossible becomes possible. Because the truth is, deep down, he knows where it all began. In Ontario. In the heart of Canadian hockey. And sometimes, destiny likes to come full circle. Connor McDavid just changed the NHL with a single signature. And Toronto? Toronto has 3 years to prove it deserves the next chapter of that story. The future doesn't wait. It starts now.